I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight for our session. First, before we get started, I want to say thank you to Mayor Pro Tem Tim Dale, for stepping in for me while I was out. I'm not sure if everyone knew, but my family was with COVID, so I missed a couple of our engagements here, and Mayor Pro Tem Tim Dale stepped in and helped. So I wanted to say thank you, Tim, for stepping in for me. And
You're
also,
welcome. Glad to have you back, and hope you continue to improve, especially your wife.
thank you. And I also want to say thank you for the rest of the council and our staff and city workers for continuing to do what's best for our community. Okay, at this time, we'll go ahead and start our regular agenda. Item 1 on the agenda to consider approval of the minutes of December the 1st, 2020 meeting.
After review, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented from the December 1st, 2020 regular session meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Tim Dale, second by Councilman Henry Chappelle. Madam Secretary, please record a vote, please.
Councilman Walker.
Aye.
Dale. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We'll now close item 1 and move on to item 2, which is our finance report. Ms. McElreath.
Glad to see you back, Mayor. Glad for the health and your family. Attached is your financial report. We're about approximately 2 months in the year. We're pretty close to on target to where we're expected to be. We did get a very good month for sales tax, as you can see by your graphs in your report. I did include a section of projects in progress down at the end of my financial report, just so y'all can kind of be updated. We have a lot going on in finance right now. Our annual audit is underway. The auditors are here this week. We are going through the work. We are doing very well so far. The report has been, they haven't really found a whole lot so far. Of course, they've just started. So we're very excited at the progress that they've made so far. As y'all know, we have the hotel motel audit going on right now as well. It kind of gotten slowed down a little bit because some of the auditors got COVID, but they've completed the Hampton Inn and the Holiday Inn, and they were in agreement with their assessment. They're going to come and give us a complete report with what they found on those. And then the La Quinta, they've finished that, and they've given them a deadline to have the documents back to them. And then the Motel 6, they're waiting on some exemption documents that he's claimed to have had to exempt him from paying some of the fees. So they're moving forward with those audits, and so they should be wrapping up on those shortly, and we'll have a complete report for you on the hotel motel audits. So they're working on getting that online system up and running. We're hoping to have that ready to go on January 1st so the hotels can start paying their hotel taxes online, and we'll move forward with that as well.
Do you know what the occupancy has been lately? Did they mention that through all this? Is it back up or?
We have seen some increase in the occupancy. Our occupancy tax has increased a little bit. So once we start going to this online system, they will be required to put their occupancy loads in the system. And so we'll be able, that's going to be one of the things about this system is they'll put every hotel will have the number of rooms, and they'll be required to put the number of rooms that they've rented in there. So we'll be able to know what their occupancy load is every month when they file these reports, which is one of the reasons I kind of wanted to go to this online system so that we could actually see how many rooms they're renting, and if they're giving away free rooms, because they're not required to pay if they're giving away the rooms, but we'll be able to see how many they're giving away for free, how many they're renting, and actually what their occupancy load is on those reports. So
Just as an aside, the tax, the percentage is charged on what they actually rent the room, but some rooms rent cheaper, like online. So it's a percentage of what they actually
It's 7% is what we charge on our percentage fee on the actual hotel occupancy is what the tax is. And the GASB 075 OPEB audit is also underway. I have provided them the information they were waiting on from me, so that audit is also underway, so I'm waiting to hear back from them. And then the Chamber of Commerce, there was a small increase for cost of living, that's just in their standard contract. We did do that. And that increase went in, it was just a very small increase. And the cost of living this year was like 0.05%. What the increase was, I think it rounded to about $375 for a year. So it wasn't much of an increase. So we just implemented that, and that went through. We're getting ready to start working on W-2s and 1099s for year end for all the employees, and so that's also in progress. We did get the online system set up for ACH for vendors, so we can now pay our vendors ACH. So if anybody's interested in receiving a payment ACH, they can fill out an ACH form and have their payment direct deposited for us, and that would allow them to receive their payments, their vendor payments, more timely. They can get it like next day after we pay checks instead of waiting on the check to come in the mail. So that is an option that we now have.
I'm going to say that's going to be used a lot by vendors.
I truly hope so, but we just got it functioning and operational. We've tested it, and we started paying our TMRS vendor payments on it, and it does work, and we did confirm with TMRS this last month they did receive our payment, so it is operational. Our fleet program, we should get our first vehicle this Thursday from the fleet program, and the other ones are set to arrive beginning in February, but they're going to start arriving now all the way out as they come off the lot. So pretty excited about that program that's underway. So and
refresh our memory. So when the vehicles come, are they going to already come with the city logo, or once we get them, we got to send them off and get them done? Or are we doing that in-house?
The logo's done in-house, so they'll come over to Chris over at the fleet department, and he'll put those on. It don't take him long. The HVAC program, they came by and did their checks. They did noted a couple of small repairs that need to be done. We're working on getting those taken care of, but I'm very, very happy with the way that turned out, and I think it did exactly what it was supposed to. So we had our first winter maintenance done by Wood AC. So very happy with that and the way that turned out. And then the copier printer program, they've started changing out the copiers and the printers to just the one set of printers. We've got a couple more to finish, and then we'll be completely changed out with all the new copiers and printers, and we'll hopefully start saving money on printers and toners with that program. So other than that, I'll take any questions on financial report if y'all have any.
When should we receive the new mowers and stuff for Ricky's group?
They've already received them.
Okay, do any other members of the council have questions for Ms. McKell?
Please, and then we went back with Stanley. Have we decided what?
I had my finger on the button. We talked to them about having it ready for last meeting back in November. They just don't have the paperwork to do the lease. Like they said they can do the lease, but they just didn't have the paperwork and couldn't get it. And so we've decided to move forward with Enterprise. We're now putting together the next contract with them for another $100,000 to do the rest of our lease.
I was referring to.
We reached out to them. Their initial paperwork they provided was for a purchase of 3 vehicles, not a lease. We reached back out to them several times, and the paperwork they provided was not for lease paperwork. And as we continued to reach back out, they could not provide lease paperwork. And so we're in the process of putting together another set of paperwork to continue with the enterprise, which we will come back to y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reed.
Thank y'all.
Okay, we'll now close item 2 and move on to item 3 on the agenda, and that is to consider approval of pay request from MHS Planning for work on the new sports complex. Mr. Laneybuck?
Thank you, council. Privileged to be here. So what you have before you is an invoice from MHS for $4,745.60. This has to do with the design at the sports complex of the archway and the additional signs out front, and I feel that this is a reasonable invoice. It takes it up to 50% of the overall project there. And we anticipate having preliminary plans for the archway next week. Are there any questions?
Okay, council, if we have any questions for Mr. Laney? Okay. So there's no questions. The floor is open for a motion on item 3.
I make a motion that we consider approval of pay request for MHS Planning for work on new sports complex for $4,745.60.
I second the motion. Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Chappelle, second by Councilman Walker. Madam Secretary, please record the vote.
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. We'll now close that item. We'll now move on to item 4. Item 4 is to consider approval of the new playground equipment at Heritage Park. Mr. Ricky Harris.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Basically, the playground at Heritage Park has outlived its life, and so we're just asking for approval to move forward with purchasing a new playground at Heritage Park. You have some pictures in your packet of the current playground and also the proposed playground. From my research, that playground's 25 years old. Be happy to answer any questions.
Ricky, I got one question. On the Heritage Park option 1, where it shows a rendering of the new playground, there's like a spider web netting there. The only concern I have that is the liability issue of a child getting in there and getting tangled up in that, or getting their head in there and they slip and fall and get their head or neck or arm caught in there. So I see that as a potential liability, but I didn't know if maybe the playground vendor had any insight to as how safe that particular piece of the playground actually is.
So basically, the gentleman that put this playground together, he's a certified playground safety inspector, and so from my experience, most of these are pretty safe considering. But I understand your concern, and so we absolutely can ask the vendor if he has other options, if that's an issue. So I don't think that would be out of the question.
What's the life expectancy on this new equipment?
So basically, the warranty information is anywhere from 15 to 20 years.
You all noticed that we replaced recently equipment in Keith Park and in Delwood Park. That was money that was budgeted last year's budget, and we ordered that in August or September.
And I will add, we're not asking for additional funding. We're gonna pay for this out of our budget line item.
Looks like we'd have these ready by the early shipping within 8 weeks or so, it says, and so we could be looking forward by March, April.
Sorry. Typically, the turnaround is 10 to 12 weeks, but considering the pandemic and the holiday season, it may be a little longer, but absolutely early spring.
In the rendering, what is the ground product? Are y'all gonna have some sort of a rubber base underneath it or something?
Yes, ma'am. That's just some fall surfacing. It's engineered wood fiber. And if you look in your pictures, we're out of compliance. Basically, the standard is 9 to 12 inches of fall surfacing, and we're well below that at the moment.
So that will bring it up to be compliant.
Yes, sir. That is included in the turnkey.
I do have a concern, not necessarily about heritage, but I was looking at the options on here and the border around it, and it made me think about the playground that we have over there with that concrete border that's definitely unsafe. And are we going to address that at any point in time?
So what, I'll use Delwood Park as an example. So that has the same concrete border that you're talking about. And so typically that's probably not the best way, but back 20, 30 years ago, that's how they were built. So to kind of offset that, you fill the fall surfacing up to the top of that to kind of limit the surfacing of that. But moving forward, if we don't have the concrete borders, there are absolutely other options that we need to look at it.
Okay, yeah, because I was definitely looking at that as a liability. Someone trip and fall and they bust their head wide open on it, on the way it was set. It's a big safety hazard and something I was concerned with.
That was one of the concerns we had at Keith Park. If you remember, we took that old equipment out, and it was maybe 6 to 8 to 10 inches below, so that curb stayed up. And so as we put the new one in, we filled it all the way to the top, so now they're walking up here, not down here, and having to step over it and so forth.
If that's a real concern, which I totally agree with you, we could probably tear that out before the arrival of the equipment and go with some plastic border, if that's what you choose.
I have a comment, since we're on here, in reference to Heritage Park. I don't know if we've looked at the last time the wood was replaced over at Heritage Park on the center of the park. In the pond, that wood, I don't know the last time it's been replaced, but it.
Keith, do you remember, didn't some of the boards and planks on the walkway across the pond at Heritage Park, didn't that get replaced? Is that the one you did in the last year? I know since I've been here, you guys went down and replaced okay.
The reason I brought it up is just that, I walk at all of them. It's just that we have so much going with the new park and all, and I've looked at it for a long time. It's just that it's much larger than the other areas of the wood and the other parks. But I'm concerned about the wood and the liability part there.
So thank you, council members. It's funny that you brought that up. So I got with Keith earlier this week, and so we've got that scheduled to be replaced with some engineered wood instead of just the regular wood. So that eliminates having to paint it and the peeling and that stuff. So I would expect that to be done in the next 30 to 45 days, maybe.
Well, I wasn't so much on the timing as it was just something that I had seen, because I know we have a lot going with the new park. There are a lot of things going on, but I just think that will eventually become a liability if you go over and look at it.
Okay, council, floor is open. If anyone have any questions, any further questioning, discussion on this item?
So which option are we going with?
So this option that's presented to you is staff's recommendation. Yes, ma'am. So you'll, in your packet, you'll have the front side rendition and the back side rendition. It's the same.
What age group does this target? I know I'm old, but this just doesn't look fun to me.
So there's actually two sections. One section is 2 to 5, and the other section is 5 to 12.
I'm just playing.
You can't play on it here.
I agree with Sherry. Every time my grandkids want to take me to the park, I'm not excited about it either.
Is there something out there for grandmas and grandpas?
As long as there's some benches there for us to sit on.
Okay, floor is open for a motion on this item.
I move for the approval of new playground equipment for Heritage Park.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Walker, second by Councilman Dale. Madam Secretary, please record the vote.
Aye.
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 This motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Ricky.
Thank you.
Okay, that item is now closed, and we'll now move on to item 5, which is our public hearing. We'll be opening this public hearing. And also consider approval of Ordinance 2020-28, the annexation of a 76.93 acre tract of land situated in the L.H. Bradley Survey, abstract number 21, the J.H. Henley Survey, abstract number 290, and the R.B. Lincecum Survey, abstract number 348, Titus County, Texas, said 76.93 acres being the same 7693 acre tract, which was conveyed to the Broadstone BT South LLC by an instrument recorded in the INS number 201-50121 TCDR, and being based on existing deeds, maps, and aerial photography. No field work was performed to describe this tract of land located in Titus County, Texas, generally located on the south side of Interstate 30, west of FM 1001. Mr. Robert LaCroix.
Mayor, Council, as you stated, this is an annexation of a 76.93 acre tract. Back on November 3rd, 2020, the City Council did approve a resolution for the intention to annex this particular tract of land, which is the Big Tex trailer manufacturing business on I-30. This is per the contractual agreement that was entered into with Big Tex back in November of 2016, where they were, for a period of time, 3 years, contractually left out of the city and continued their EHA status on certain conditions with the city, but with the intent that at the end of that contractual agreement that they would have voluntary annexation. So we are proceeding with the contractual obligation for the city to go ahead and annex, and we're a little bit behind on it, but we're getting it done. So tonight we need to conduct a public hearing, and at the end of the public hearing, he'll close the public hearing, and the council can entertain a motion to annex this property. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Robert. This is a public hearing. Do we have anyone from the public that might want to speak on this agenda item?
Mayor, I do not have anyone online.
Okay, thank you. Well, council, the floor is open for discussion or any questions that you might have on this item. Okay, if there's no questions, the Floor is open for a motion on this item after we close the public hearing here. And this time, the public hearing is now closed. The floor is open for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we, just approve this ordinance 2020-28, the annexation of the 76.93 acre tract is situated in that's just been described, with Broadstone BT South LLC as presented tonight.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Dale, second by Councilman Chappelle. Madam Secretary, record the vote, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We'll now close this item. And we'll now move on to item 6 on the agenda. Consider and approve ordinance 2020-29, amending sections 52.04 and 52.08, Title 5 of Chapter 52 of the Code of Ordinance to increase water charges per the water rate study of 2020. Ms. Reeves?
Good evening, council. A water rate study was performed by the city about last year this time, and y'all approved the water rate study to take up the tiers of just the meters, not the actual total water rate. This is just for the higher tiered meters. And this is every year for the next 5 years, y'all agreed to take up the tiers just incrementally instead of just taking them all up to the rate. So all this does is just increase the tiers from like the 1 inch meters, 2 inch meters, 3 inch meters. This does not take the water rates up for your everyday common person. So if you were just nor does it increase your volume use of a person. So if you're just a normal residential person with a 3/4 inch meter, then your rate will not change. This is just to take up the meter size and implement what the water rate study suggested, that we take up our rates per our meter sizes the way most cities do it. And so this just implements the next phase of that tiered rating for our meter sizes.
And Mayor and Council, we intended you to approve these rate increases last year. What we ended up approving, that Mikhail found, was we only approved the 1 year. The plan's in place, so you could approve the next 4 years, and we don't have to keep coming back for it. But otherwise, if you want us to come back each time, we will. But the 5-year plan was approved, but the rates were not. We'd recommend you consider approving those rates that were in place last year for the next this year, and then 2-3 more years.
Okay, council, floor is open for questions.
So does this put us at the fiscal year 2024, that puts us in line with the rates, or every year thereafter it will just keep going up in increments based upon a percentage?
It would not increase anymore after 2024 unless there was another ordinance brought back to you to increase the rates.
And with that said, every 5 years we look at the rate. So we'll probably come back to the council and ask to re-look at the rate. The guys that did the study, and then they'll come back and say they're either in line or they're not, based on public improvements that we decided to make between now and then, bond issue of projects we have. So most of the time, cities come in about every 5 years, where you look at their rates and make sure they're in place to take care of the debt and the maintenance and operation.
Okay, council, do we have any further discussions or any further questions? Okay, this item is open for motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve this ordinance 2020-29, amending the section 52.04 concerning the Title V of Chapter 52, increasing the water charges for rate study as presented tonight.
I'll second that.
I have a question.
Yes.
So if we decide to pass this tonight, so will we go ahead with this, for this to maintain for the entire 5 years now?
I believe that's what, it's supposed to be the next 2 to 3 years. That we did it last year, right? So we're looking at an additional 3 years. Is that what you guys asking?
Right, if you look at the ordinance and you look at the list of them, it's not on the volume, the amount of gallons used, it's about the meter. So it's about, when we looked at it last year, everybody who had a meter paid the same meter price, the same thing, $15.13. And if you look at them, if you get bigger meters, that means we have to make sure we have water available to give them the water they use. So it costs us more. If you look at it, what they should be paying now, based on the rate study last year, is what it is over here in 2024. But they recommended that we put it in a phase over incrementally over 5 years rather than just do it all at one time. So it would be prudent, I think, unless you want it to come back to each time. But it won't be on water rate increases. It'll just be putting these meters in place incrementally where they probably should have been last year. That said, we don't have a problem with coming back this time next year and doing the next year if you'd rather do it that way. It's just the way you make the motion. This ordinance is in place to do all 4 this year and 3 more.
And just on that fee page, just for clarity, there's the 3/4 inch all the way to the 12-inch meter, fiscal year 2021. Is that a monthly fee?
That's correct.
Okay, do we have any further questions on it? This item? Okay, and again, you said this motion is for the next, to continue this for up to 5 years, is it? Up to 2024, okay.
Correct. That was the way the motion was made.
Okay, again, that motion was made by Councilman Dale and second by Councilman Chappelle. Madam Secretary, please record the vote.
Aye.
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 Vote carries unanimous. We'll now close item 6 and move on to item 7, which is public comment. At this time, if we have anyone in the public that would like to come up and speak, please do so at this time.
Mayor, there are no online comments at this time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and close item 7, which is public comment, and we'll now move on to item 8 on the agenda, which is the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. And just wanted to mention tonight's our last council meeting until the first of the year, till next year. And so we want to wish you all a Merry Christmas. I want to thank my staff and tell them Merry Christmas, and all of your employees. I hope they know how much I appreciate what they've done and the work they've done this last year. I'd like to introduce tonight Andrew Steggers, if you'd stand up. Andrew's our new city attorney. You notice Carrie's not here tonight. Our new city engineer, and he's moving from the Seattle area. However, he worked 8 or so years in, how many years you worked in Shreveport? 12 years in Shreveport, and got his degree from Louisiana. Married a girl from Shreveport, and as a daughter or grandchild in Shreveport. And so we're glad to have him. Today was his first day here, so required him to come to council. Thank you.
Well, welcome aboard.
Welcome to Mount Pleasant. We're glad to have you. Look forward to working with you.
Want to mention that we've talked about this before. Just want to remind you that we next week, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day will be closed. Also, in lieu of us not having a Christmas party, we normally have a dinner, a luncheon, and give out our awards, and then everybody goes home for the rest of the day. And in lieu of not doing that, we're not going to have the luncheon and the dinner, and but we plan on closing at noon on Wednesday. So it'll be 2.5 days on, 2.5 days off next week. New Year's, we'll be open on Thursday, and on New Year's Eve we'll be open, and we'll close on New Year's Day. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Okay, I just want to say again, thank you all, and staff and city workers, and each member on the council. I really appreciate you all, and Ed, I thank you for keeping me abreast with everything while I was out. I think everybody's doing an excellent job, and I've got a lot of positive feedback from my citizens. So, with that said, I want to say happy holidays to you guys all. At this time, we'll go ahead and close the city manager's report, item 8, and I'll open the floor for a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Okay, we are now adjourned. Thank you.
Merry Christmas to everyone.